Hello and welcome back to A Journey in Boots from Trauma to Triumph. I'm your co-host, Dorothy Odell. I'm the owner of Unstoppable Overcomers Productions, where we are a full service media agency helping you get your story out, your overcoming story out, whether it be life, business, or service. And we have the amazing Dr. Jay Royster here, our other co-host. And if you could tell us a little bit about Semper Modus and how you help your clients, Dr. Jay, that would be amazing.
I'm Dr. Janelle Royster. I'm a licensed therapist. I own a private practice called Semper Modus, where I work with veterans who have become therapists and psychologists who treat veterans and first responders. I also have some veteran allies now who work within the police department, and their spouses have served. So we treat all kinds of mental health challenges, from grief to adjustment disorders. So anything you might possibly need help with, we are here to do that. We take all insurances, and of course we take cash. So I'm pretty excited about today. I'm so excited that we got back together. I know we've had some reruns here lately because we've been so busy, but I would love to welcome my little gem here, Mr. Toby Christensen. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Well, I have known Toby for years and years, and I love him, and he's amazing, and I want him to tell his story. So thank you, Toby, for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. It's a delight to see both of you. It's been way too long, and yes, Dr. J, you and I've had a lot of fun together and a lot of wonderful experiences. And not only that, but your work is amazing. Yeah. I know that firsthand from how it's helped me. And I wasn't born perfect. I just, I became perfect through the work that you've done with me. So now life is good.
Yeah, I remember being introduced to you back, I think, around COVID time, and I was told you were LMHC who lived in Ohio, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because they have LCPCs up there. So like the disconnect was for real. So once I got into what Toby truly does and all the different gifts he has to offer, it's unbelievable. So I'm interested to see how you got to where you are, sir.
Well, it's a long story.
I know, but it's so good.
It's funny because in the work that we do, we deal with people who often are not at their best. It's not their best moment, and we talk about well, you do this and you think, well, you're you. Of course you could do it. They don't realize that we've gone through our own battles, or at least speaking for myself, I've gone through my own battles and my own troubles and traumas. And I had a moment where I had a 9mm on one knee and a bottle of gin on the other. And I fully intended to end my life because I truly felt that it was no longer worth living. Mm-hmm. So, I get choked up. That was 35 years ago, 40 years ago. And it's like it was yesterday. Right. And I'll never forget the joy of waking up the next morning with a brutal hangover, realizing that, wow, I got through this. And so often those are the breakthroughs that make the rest of your life worth living. And a lot of the people that you have sent to us at Hear the Hope Heroes, that's what a high percentage of our songs are about, are people who have hit the end of the line. They've been on the edge. They've been ready to check out, and then they didn't, and then they found their gift. So it's just I started off in music.
Never make a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Exactly.
The problem.
Yeah, and sometimes the problems seem like there's absolutely no way to overcome them. They seem insurmountable, and then you wake up another day and what the hell was I thinking? And now I'm able to laugh about it. But you know,
doing the research, 97% of all people who attempt suicide regret it, and I think that's pretty high. You know, the people who do survive after attempting, like 97% say that was a temporary problem and we can find a solution, you know, and just like
Yeah.
you, they're just as great. They didn't make that decision.
Well, and the thing for me is that I was on such a narrow path in terms of my perception of life and reality and spirituality that I didn't know there were any options. And then
Right.
through my crash, I realized that there's lots of options. You know, I remember meeting
Right.
this guy from Africa who ended up being my teacher for 30 years. Super cool guy. And I met him 10 days after my house burned down. Okay. So
Oh,
here I the company that I worked for that had given me my dream of making tons of money and wearing designer clothes and driving fancy cars and all the stuff I dreamt of as a little kid, I got. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we sell our company. It was an athletic shoe company. We sold it to Reebok International. Well, I had developed a bit of a cocaine habit. Actually, I had a huge cocaine habit. And so while all my friends were buying new Porsches, I was paying off dealers so I didn't get killed. And there was such a limited perception on what life could bring in terms of being happy, and I couldn't figure out how I could ever get back to that again. And so I get into a recovery program, and I'm getting off the coke and everything's doing good. And a year into sobriety, my house burns down and I lose everything. And I'm thinking, for God's sakes, I thought things were supposed to get better after you got clean, but it sucked.
right.
So I had an appointment through my therapist with this guy from Africa. His name is Malidoma Some. He passed away a few years ago, but he was a dear friend for a long time. And we're talking, and he said, "You're so lucky." And I'm like, no, you didn't understand what I said. I lost everything. He said, "I heard what
He's
you
like,
said.
no, you
And I
didn't.
understand perfectly. This is wonderful." And in his cosmology, he says, when the ancestors leap from the other world into this world to get your attention, you've got a very important job to do. And I couldn't think of anything that was very important that I was doing at that time. But what unfolded afterwards was learning about the healing power of sound and music, and working with literally tens of thousands of people over the last 25 years.
Right.
And watching people transform, watching people recover from dis-ease that they were told they could never heal from. And
Right.
I never would have experienced any of that in my old pathway. All I cared about was Armani and BMW. And once I got that shit out, yeah, exactly. Once I got that shit out of the way, I had room for something new, and it's been a game changer.
What made you decide? What made you decide to start working with veterans?
Dr. J. I can't. I can't remember. It started with a guy that started this kind of treatment that then shifted to another guy, and I don't even. Oh, I know. I went to a men's retreat, and I remember. And what happened was I was co-facilitating this event in Cincinnati, Ohio, with a guy named Scott Mann, and Scott's a very well-known Green Beret, and and he listened to my drumming and storytelling, and he's like, "Dude, you got to come to this event." And he said, "I'll pay for it. It's free. I need your drum there. I need you there." So I went there, and I drummed while he did storytelling, and it was awesome. And I'm, in my younger day, the closest I got to a policeman was in the back seat of their car. And so I'm not really much of and military, I had hair halfway down my back. I was not interested in having a military haircut. So screw that. I'm not going to go there. So here I am with a bunch of short-haired, now I don't have any hair hardly, but military guys that are, "Oh yeah, man, I was a DNC and I was a C3-4D and I was an E7." Right. And I'm like, what the hell it's like being in a Chinese restaurant where you have no idea what they're saying, right? So, but and it was completely off the wall. But this guy made a commitment to help eradicate suicide of veterans. And I didn't realize that at that time, I don't know what the statistics are now, but at that time, 22 veterans a day were committing suicide. And I'm like, this sucks. And we can do something about it. And I had been leading drum circles and sound therapy for a long time. And it's beautiful because it's a nonverbal form of treatment that allows somebody to express their energy. I remember doing a circle, and it wasn't a veteran circle. It was just a community circle somewhere. I think it was back in the DC area. And I'm telling these people, this is how we're going to do it. And this is what we do. So just let it roll. And everybody goes around and they introduce themselves and they tell them why they're there. And, there was a couple of veterans there. And all this one guy said was, he said, "This shit better work."
Yep.
Oh boy, we're on the line. And afterwards, he comes to me with tears in his eyes, wondering where he can get a drum for he and his son, because he had never had the communication with his son like they did. He comes to me with tears in his eyes, wondering where. So it was, and that's one of hundreds of incidents where people have been in a simple place where they had the ability to tap into their own expression, where there was absolutely no judgment, where there was no evaluation, just, take your hands and hit the damn thing and let's see what happens. And then the magic takes over and the drum does all the work. So
I can honestly say, having you drum over me, definitely it changed. It changes. I don't know what it does to your body, but it definitely shifts it into a more optimistic perspective, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Like, all the traumas that I've endured, it's almost like you get up and there's a weight lifted off of you.
Yeah, it's very powerful. And I know
you do a lot of different types of healing. I think one of your emails is even the healing drummer, right? Yeah. So it is pretty amazing that you can have a nonverbal sound healing on that level to change things within your chemistry to make things shift in a more, just a better light. It's almost very freeing in a different way. We hear about a lot of traditional forms of healing, and that is one that I had never had experienced before. I don't think I ever have again. I mean, yoga and the sound bowls don't really do much for me. And I'm just one of those people like that guy, this better do something, because I have tried so much in my life to overcome some of the challenges I've endured. I don't necessarily talk about all of them, but I definitely struggle with complex PTSD symptoms. And that was one day that definitely shifted my perspective. I was a believer after that. And I believe that music has a lot to do with healing and bringing yourself back to center for whatever reason, listening to music with nostalgia. But what you do is pretty unique, is you take, words of someone's experience, create a poem and a song out of it, and then put it to music. Like you and I have worked together where we had a songwriter who actually was very much in fight or flight, and he was going to eat a bullet. And I had worked with him, which, I'm not getting any credit for this. I just have some therapeutic interventions that work really well. And it shifted his perspective, and he wrote a song that I actually sang.
Yeah.
And it's on your website, which is pretty crazy.
Oh, and this has been one of the,
this all works out, but he, there we go. We got internet challenges. So he went on to become a manager and a functional member of society, which was pretty amazing. I mean, things ebb and flow, but I was pretty excited about all that.
Well, that's what was
really taking fun. Putting them songs is unbelievable, and you do that all the time now.
Yeah, I do a song a month with Hear the Hope Heroes. We started working with kids at Children's Hospital, And we found with the HEPA laws and all of the construct
Red
of the
tape.
hospitals, massive red tape, massive roadblocks. You know, they're happy to take a check as a donation, but they don't want to give you any freedom to do some work and help them. So, but we've had a couple of doctors at some children's hospitals go, hey, we want to get involved. And so they'll take patients that they're not treating anymore so that they aren't violating any rules. But we had one guy who heard about our project. He's like, I haven't played the guitar since I was in medical school. He said, I used to play in Harvard Square at the coffee shop. And since I graduated, you know, and here's a guy that's amazingly intellectual. He went to Harvard, he went to Stanford, he went to Columbia, you know, and he was a surgeon. He rebuilds hands for kids that are born without fingers, and just like amazing stuff. And his love is music. And he's like, oh my God. So he brings this kid in who has EB, which is a very bizarre condition where your body doesn't have the protein to keep the layers of your skin together. So any kind of touch on the skin is damaging. And your hands literally turn into these little like clubs. So he does this operation where he frees up the forehands and the thumbs, and he taught a kid how to play the piano. So one of the songs did that. Well, what we realized was this is a really powerful therapeutic experience for people. We didn't have enough kids to do something on a regular basis. And so I had started doing my work with this organization through these veterans. And I'm like, well, hell, I talk to tons of veterans every week that have amazing stories. And then when you ask them, you know, and you know, you had a music background and some experience. And a lot of the people who haven't, they're like, I'm not a songwriter. I can't do that. And I'm like going, well, let's see if we can put your story into some sections, you know, like what was the problem and what had happened? What was the experience that got your attention, and what was the solution? How did you get free from it? What happened? And they go, oh, I can do that. So they write the story and they send me the story. Then I'll go through and I'll make a song out of it, make the syllables right, make the words rhyme, you know, it's just simple, basic songwriting 101 stuff. And then I'll send it back to them. And I'll go, oh, this is such a great way to say what I said. And then I'll throw music to it. And then I always get this, and it's so funny because a lot of these vets are really tough guys, you know, and they're like, oh my God, that was not even fair. I'm like, what's the matter? They said, I started bawling my eyes out listening to the song.
Well, because it's their life experience. I mean, little Miss Author over here, I connected her to you, and she created a song, and it's on that website, you know, and it's got a little bio about Miss Dorothy, which is amazing. You know, I just love being able to kind of take that snapshot, put it to music, a catchy little tune, and then like you gain knowledge of this person's life experience in a song. Like, how awesome is that?
It's really a lot of fun and very therapeutic. You know, we've had some people, the best scenario is when we get them in the studio and sing. It doesn't always happen because we don't always have the ability to, you know, get somebody in, or people don't have the funds to fly to another city. And, you know, but we're working on that. We're looking at some funding for 2025 that hopefully will allow us at least 3 people where we can fly them in. We can get them in here, whether they play a drum or a guitar or sing. You know, one of the guys that you brought us, he's actually done 2 songs, I believe, over the years. And it was great because he flew in, he spent 2 days in the studio. He was able to be in a situation. He had recorded in his garage, which is great and super creative. But when you come into an actual studio, it's a completely different vibe. And, you know, we had a blast with him. So
I've been to your studio, I think 3 times, but not in Seattle. So I need to come visit.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
There, so I want to go. That's amazing.
This place has a good vibe. So
I love it.
And I have to say, it was actually pretty cool to work with Toby. like Dr. J said, I had the pleasure of creating a song with Toby, and Toby was amazing. He's like, name three of your best favorite songs with the beat, and of course, I gave him three totally off the wall songs, but I think it turned out fantastic. So thank you, Toby, for that experience, because
absolutely. My pleasure. That was fun.
that was fun. And it's when you actually sit down and to write it, it didn't take really that long to write it, and of course you tweaked it and did your thing to
Well, Miss
it, but
Talented over here, it didn't take long to write it. Me, it
it
took me
didn't.
months.
Well,
I struggle with that. But
sit
that's
and
what I'm saying.
meditate.
Better to have somebody like you just write down the things that have occurred and then have somebody like Toby who can put it together. Because he makes it so easy. I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff and he just like put it together and moved the words and did all the things. And then, he sent me a kind of a melody and I'm just like, well, there it is. So you don't have to be, what I'm saying is if there's a veteran who wants their story told, you don't have to be as talented as Dorothy is with all the wording. You could just share a story in an email, send Toby an email and he can create whatever you need. I've seen him do a lot of different rock things. And I was like, wow. I mean, he did one we had Tony on our podcast. I think it was back in October. And he was a Navy diver, Army guy, right? He did all these cool kid things under the water. He's got bubbles for vets. And, Toby just wrote a song for him. So Honor the Brave, right?
Honor the Brave. It's the featured song this month at hearthehopeheroes.org.
Yeah.
And that was fun because he sent me like this giant thing. And like the first thing was I have disarmed 163 IEDs. And I'm thinking, holy moly, this guy knows about stress. And then he went on to tell the story and we just kind of condensed the story a little bit and then really took the core energy of what he brings to the world in that he honors all veterans, even though he's got this specific skill set. His skill set saves a whole bunch of people that he's working around. And so it was honor the brave. It takes bravery and courage and balls to sit down with 50 pounds of C4 and try and figure out a way to not get a giant crater blown and yourself vaporized. And he just approached it like, well, yeah, then I found this tripwire and then I found this other. It was so fun. And then I sent him the song.
He's just so mechanical about it. He's just like, yeah, step one is this, step two is that. And I'm like, do you understand like how big of an impact you have? Like you just saved maybe 15,000 people.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, yeah, but that was
the thing I like about working with Dorothy was it was such a personal story because we get some that are kind of about what people do. And then hers was so much more about her own feelings and emotions. And what's the word I'm looking for? A cathartic kind of response from the song, because you really opened your heart on that.
I did. Well, you know what? We're going to bring this up. We're going to bring up Toby's. Let me see if I can do this. So give me some grace here and give me some patience. It's been a while since I've used this presentation screen here. All right. So let's go. Let's bring up his website here. So we'll go to the featured song because we have had Tony on the show. So let's go to his song here, 12 Years of Grit and Glory, A Journey in Active Service. So definitely go check that out. Download it, click donate, and listen to that song because that's the one we were just talking about here. And it gives a write-up of Tony's here. So definitely go click on that.
Yeah, then on this little black bar, there's a 30-second sample of each of the songs on all of these. Same way in the archives.
Yes. So I'm because I personally hold on. Hold on. Oh my God, Oh, I thought that was Carrie. Never mind. There's Dr. J right there. Haha.
That's one of them. Yeah, there's two of them on there.
There's
And then
two
I
of them.
sang background
There
for
you go.
Murray. So,
And so
yeah.
this one
So
here
find
is
a way.
mine.
Mhm.
And I can play this one because if YouTube or somebody decides they can't shut me down because we do own rights to this song.
Yes, we do.
So we can't shut this down because we do have the rights.
You taught me all my life lessons, Dad, but you didn't teach me how to live without you. Without you. You brought me here to heal the broken-hearted. I'm here to feel, yes, feel the broken-hearted.
All right. So, my friends, let's get rid of this presentation here. Stop screen.
Well, Toby
So-
owns the rights to all the things, so it's not an issue.
There we
It's
go.
his website.
Well, that particular one is one that I co-wrote with Toby. So therefore,
Yeah.
no one can shut me down. If anybody in wherever we're who's ever listening in that has, is really anal about that, we do have the rights to that. So anyhow, because I know YouTube can shut me
We're
down.
registered with ASCAP.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I mean,
that's
you
the only
can,
reason
you
why.
can buy the whole song for $5. So you
Right.
you donate $5 to Toby's website, and then it goes into the next one. So
Yeah.
you're paying it forward just by downloading the song, which is pretty
Let
cool.
me bring that back up. Let me just bring that back up. So yeah, here you is. Click here where it says click here to donate. And
Right.
and anywhere. Oh, why can't I see that again? So even if you go do the featured song,
Mhm.
click here to donate, because here's the thing, like Toby said, not only are they some of these veterans, they can't afford to go and have this done. So the reason why I did it is so that every cent that was donated through that could help another veteran be able to share
Yeah.
their story. So please
Absolutely.
just go download it. I think it was $5. Like seriously, just go spend the $5 and help
Less
another
than a cup of
veteran,
coffee nowadays.
right? Especially a Starbucks.
Starbucks is $5.81, man.
I just got to go to this. Just give me 1 second here. We got some people in the house tonight. Dimitri from Guatemala. Thank you, brother, for showing up. Electric music like trance does wonders for him. Our amazing friend Chris Dunn.
Oh, we did a song together.
Yeah, you did a song for Chris. Yeah.
Yeah.
Russ says good evening. You got all kinds of people on here. That's awesome.
Good to see you, Russ. Wait a minute. Chris has done a song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why the hell did I know about that?
I don't know. He writes poetry and stuff. You got to check it out. It's pretty good.
We're going to have to get him in to do another one this year, because he's got some great poetry. And selfishly, when somebody can already do verse, it makes my job 100 times easier, because I don't have to refigure everything. And so Chris was great. And he's just like, here you go.
I make it very hard for him. Chris makes it easy, but he's got 25 years of, he's a retired deputy from Polk County, which is Grady Judd, the original cowboy. So I'm sure he's got all kinds of stories. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm excited to see who you have on this year. But you are doing other things in Mexico, so I would love to hear about your new program.
Well,
what you can share.
Yeah, well, I've been working with a company called Final Cycles, parent company in the Looking Glass, and we support an orphanage in Uganda and an orphanage in Mexico. And we started thinking, what would it be like to give people who are struggling a place where they can go and have everything taken care of for them, and they can just let all their problems go away and they can just be taken care of. So it's over years of having a million different ideas of how we're going to do this. We didn't want to do like a Club Med or another, luxury resort. We wanted to do like, our joy is getting off the grid and just being in nature. So we've ended up buying a 105-acre ranch on the Pacific Ocean in Mexico, 2 hours south of Puerto Vallarta, in a little tiny village called Maito. And what we're in the process of doing is creating a getaway that when you walk through those gates, you check modernity at the door. We grow all of our own food. We source all of our vegetables and fruits we grow ourselves on the land. We access meat through local sources. So it's all super organic, really healthy. Next fall, we start the construction on a building called The Hive. It's Norm, my partner in this project, got into bees and talking about the healing power of bees and the sound of bees and all this stuff. I'm like, Norm, you're going off the deep end. But there's a lot of really cool information about that. So he said, we're going to build a healing center made out of hexagons, like a beehive. So we've been working with an architect, and basically we're building a somewhere around 7,000 or 8,000 square foot building that will have a fully state-of-the-art recording studio for music, therapy rooms for light therapy and sound therapy, massage therapy, all kinds of different treatments. And it's a situation where people can come who maybe otherwise couldn't afford the treatments or the trip. You get you get yourself to Puerto Vallarta, and then we take it from there. And my dream is to not only make music there. I've got a bunch of friends in Sedona and on Kauai where I've done spent a lot of time. And there's a new level of music that I think is using some of these harmonics and frequencies that scientists are discovering can really have a positive impact on the mind and the body.
Absolutely.
We want to allow that for people. I want to bring musicians in and create a new genre of music that's focused on intentionally creating a state of being for a person that will help counter their antagonistic state of being. And then there's people, there's some scientists in the UK that are doing amazing work with sound frequencies and cancer. How to, everything is a vibration. If you take it down to small enough, it's all subatomic particles. And if we can rearrange those particles by using energy being sound, these guys are having amazing successes with zero side effects. I mean, it's some cool stuff. So we want to get all that and have a place where.
Well, I can say that, sound therapy was not a thing for me. Like, I did the yoga, I did the sound bowls. I've done a lot with sound, and until you drummed over me, that was very interesting. And it may have been, that I trust you and that you're very good at what you do. And I think that is also part of the healing process, is trusting the people that are, contributing to your healing journey. And, I found that to be very fascinating. And I will say, like, Dorothy, when you got your song back and you heard it for the first time, like, how did that make you feel?
I
like
kind
bringing
of
your story
out
to life.
I seriously kind of freaked out, and I didn't tell my mom.
That's okay.
I didn't tell my mom I wrote it. I didn't tell anybody in my family I wrote it. I did mention, but I kind of downplayed it to my husband. I'm like, hey, guess what? I'm a songwriter now. And, and when I listened to it, I had like tears just coming down my eyes. I was just like, and when I played just that little clip of the song, like I was in full chills, like glory bumps, whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
because that song is like from the depths of my soul, everything that I have gone through over the last 30 years. And Toby just like brought my words to life in like a whole new thing.
Yes.
And I shared,
it's super validating.
Yeah. And I bought the song and I shared it with my mom, and my mom, I said, you know, I didn't tell you that I was going to do this. This was right after my dad died. And the song is not only about my dad, but it's about my journey with everybody, you know, that because it seems like everybody that has had some kind of tragedy or broken heart or something has been like, I'm the beacon for that for some reason.
It resonates with them. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And so, when I shared it with her, I was just like, just listen to it. And I should have waited until I was with her, but I didn't. I was too excited. So she was crying. I sent it to my brother, and my brother's just like, he didn't say nothing. So he goes, well, that's not my kind of music. I'm just like, screw off. Your sister is a songwriter.
Listen to the words. Yeah. I went to the studio and Toby's like, come out, you know, come over here, because I was in Virginia at the time. And he's like, come over here and record this song. And, you know, I got to do all the different harmonies. And I mean, there's like on my song, the one that the Marine wrote and Toby wrote together, it's called Find a Way. And he had me record it, and I did like the harmonies, and he's like, and I'm like, this is weird, whatever, I'm just gonna do what you tell me, you know. And you go through, and it's so amazing how it sounds when you finish. And what's interesting is I played it for a couple of my friends, and we were all sitting around, even Sabrina, you know, because we've had her on the show too, and she's like, that's not you. And I'm like, that's all me, all 9 voices, you know. And it's an amazing thing to have, like, your hard work in 2 days of you recording over and over and over again, and then having it create to like this masterpiece of a song. It's just very profound. And you know, I don't sing a lot, so I think the last time I did was a cappella and basic training, and then I do a little bit of karaoke here and there. And then I did this song, and somebody heard the song, and they asked me to sing the national anthem for Bushnell Cemetery for Memorial Day. And I'm like, wait, what? You know, so like, it's interesting how like your talent comes back to fruition. It kind of ebbs and flows. And I think music is extremely healing, and like getting that, just that confidence to come back around and do it again, you know. And I think people who don't believe they can sing, just wait to see what Toby can do. That's all I'm gonna say.
100%.
Because I've seen him make people that are kind of average singers, and like they sound amazing. I don't know what you do with all them machines, but it's epic.
Well, if you got enough cool gear, you can make anybody sound good. And you know, I think most of the
fantastic.
Most of the
We're
time,
gonna do a song together, Jay, and then sing it in studio together.
I'd
There we
love that.
go.
Let's go.
It would just be
I'm
like
ready.
my time in Florida last April, where we were cruising down the highway and we're both belting it out.
Absolutely. I'd love
Yeah.
to. I've never been to Seattle, so I'm just itching to come see Toby. Anytime you're ready, let me know, Dorothy. We'll go.
Okay.
I'd love to. Toby's like, sure, come on. I don't care.
Absolutely. Come on down. Or come
Yeah,
on
but
up.
he's going to be in Mexico. So when are you going back to Seattle?
Well, I'll be in Mexico just for a couple weeks this trip. I'm just going there to look at we just acquired the ranch, you know, in terms of closing on the real estate deal. Although Norm's lived on the property for 2 years, so we've got a real good head start. But I've got to go down and check on a house down there that I'll be living in when I'm down there, and the place where we're going to put the studio, and we got to figure out the solar panels, because the electricity is not very reliable once you get away from a major city, and we're not even close to a major city. So we really need to get some solar solar plants dialed in so that we have really good electricity. So I'm just going to go down and fiddle around with all that stuff for a little while. And then, so I've just bounced back and forth between Seattle and Mexico. I found Alaska Airlines. They have several nonstop flights. So it's so easy. And when I lived back east, it was a bitch to get anywhere, 3 stops or whatever, and so this is really a delight. So, but anyway, I'm here always, anytime that I need to be here to do recording. So we can definitely do that.
Road trip to
I
Seattle.
got a passport too, so. Yeah, we just needed, that's why we didn't do the podcast with him last year, is because he wasn't available. He didn't have the connection. So I'm thrilled he's back in Seattle. Yoo-hoo.
Yeah, and we're getting more secure down there. I couldn't commit to anything when I'm in Mexico down at the ranch because, even the municipal power is not reliable. Sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't. But as we develop our solar electricity, it's becoming a lot more reliable. And then we have Starlink, so we have internet, which is great because we're out in the middle of nowhere and we otherwise would not have any internet. So it makes it nice.
Love it.
That's awesome. I'm so excited to see what you're going to do. But Dorothy has one last question that she asks all of our guests, and I'm knowing you for as long as I have, I'm very interested in the answer.
Yes.
Because he's pretty open book. So we'll see.
What is the one thing that no one knows about you?
See, I knew this would stump him because he is very open and very transparent.
I think the one thing that people don't know about me is that I've never skydived. So when I talk to people and I tell my life story, people are like, is there anything you haven't done? I started off at 15 years old as a professional musician, was a buyer for Nordstrom, which is a large department store, if you don't know what it is, but and then a very high fashion store. Went from there to building the 3rd largest shoe company in the world, sold that to Reebok International, created a coffee company. I had a chain of espresso bars and a restaurant, and then moved into the area of healing through sound and sound therapy, studied in West Africa with the tribe, and learned a bunch of tribal techniques that I then westernized so that I could bring that gift of healing here, and then got back into music through that whole mechanism. So people are like, oh my God, is there anything you haven't done? And yes, I have not. I have never, nor will I ever jump out of an airplane.
Okay, but what have you not done that you're willing to do, sir?
That I can't think of anything. You guys will have to think of something for me to do that I would do that I haven't.
Toby he's also on Semper Modus's website, so you can connect with him there as well, just because he is a life coach, clearly, master of many, many, many things, and is very fundamental with the daily struggles that you might find. So he's definitely a part of my Semper Modus team. He may not be a veteran, but he absolutely he serves veterans every single day. So we are honored for him to be a part of that team.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Toby, for all that you do.
It's an honor to be there. Absolutely my pleasure. And it's just so nice to see you guys again.
It's a pleasure
to
see you.
Stay on for a minute.
Okay.
Don't hang up. Okay.
We got to have a separate conversation. I didn't know about this coffee thing because if my cousin Nancy's listening, we're gonna open a coffee bar here in Canada, and so I need some advice, my friend. I'll pick your brain when we're
hang on for a minute, and we'll end the show.
So,
any last words, last thoughts, Toby? Anything you want to leave the audience with?
Well, I would just say that regardless of what the struggle is, regardless of how life looks at any particular moment, any particular snapshot, it's just one frame in a big movie. And
Yes.
don't give up, don't give up.
Absolutely.
100%. Thank you. Thank you for all of our people listening tonight. Thank you so much, Toby, for joining us. Don't forget, be unstoppable in all that you do, and be kind out there, because that's just what the world needs, is more kindness. So with that, go check out this Heart the Hope Heroes as well.org, and go donate and purchase a song or two or
Hear
three or four.
Heroes.
No, it says Heart.
Yes.
The
Hear
Hope
the
Heroes.
Hope Heroes. Hear
Oh,
the hope.
well,
Hear
there you
as
go.
in
It's in the comments too. Hear the Hope Heroes. Well, why do? Oh
I
my
love
God!
the heart, though. That's a good point.
Yeah. I love it. Heart is
That's
definitely
awesome.
there.
Heart is in the middle
Yes.
of everything.
Yay!
Yes, it is.
Heart.
Especially when it comes
Yes.
to Toby, for sure.
That's right. All right, folks. See you same time, same channel next week, and connect with us on LinkedIn or Facebook. We'd be more than happy to, connect with you. And with that, we'll see you next week. Bye for now.